I'm Susan. Welcome to Tea and Games. The tea today is Harney and Sons Earl Grey Supreme. I ordered some tea from Harney and Sons a couple of times now, and when the box comes, it has these little like 1 tea bag samples in it, and this is one of those samples. So this is actually my first time trying their Earl Grey Supreme. So we'll see how this goes. Right now it is still too hot to drink. And it's the new camera rig. I may be looking at the wrong place for half of this video. And if I do, I apologize in advance. I'm still getting used to this. New camera setup. Let me see. I meant to do this video last week. But I thought actually I needed to play one of the games a bit more before I said anything about it. Although now that I think about it, nothing has really changed. So anyhow, but there is one new thing. I now have, and I think I already had this when I made the last video and I forgot to mention it. I now have a Board Game Geek account, a BGG account. Believe it or not, all these years I just never had one. I really just didn't think I needed one, and I'm still not entirely sure I do, but you can find me and add me to your Geek Buddy list, and I'm still not sure what Geek Buddies do exactly. On Board Game Geek. I started a little blog thing where I will link the videos that I make on YouTube to the vlog, and I'm going to try to add them to my BGG account. So if I get lost here on YouTube, it's like they're not popping up because your feed is just overwhelmed with all kinds of other stuff, you can still find me there. And welcome to new subscribers. I picked up a few new people, not huge numbers. I mean, we don't do huge numbers. I am just a casual weekend board gamer, not a professional content creator. Just want to sit around, chat about games with y'all. Of course, most of the chatting from your part comes in the comments, and I do reply to comments. Unless YouTube vanishes them, which has happened a couple of times, which is annoying. But if I see your comment, I will reply. So anyhow, welcome to new subscribers. I've kind of wondered if a couple of people picked up, started subscribing to this because they saw me on Board Game Geek, but it's not like I've really got a presence there. I'm like one of a gazillion users, and it's not like I'm featured or anything. So, but if you want to find me there, you can. Let me see. I've got my notes here. I got an upgrade for Obsession. Okay, let me show you. I've got Obsession. I got all the Obsession stuff. And since we got the game end of July, I think, last year, we've been playing it just about every month. When we first got it, I think we actually played it more than once a month. So I'm actually still, my average is above once per month. We missed January, but we are playing it quite a bit. And there's one upgrade that I really, and see, I'm not looking in the right place again. I noticed sorry folks, look, trying to get the right camera thing. There's one upgrade that I really like for board games. It's like if I could only do one thing to a game, it would be get metal money. And I finally got the metal money for Obsession because we're playing it so much. And every time I'm handling those cardboard coins, which I should add, the cardboard coins in this, they're nice, thick, chunky, substantial feeling cardboard. None of this thin, flimsy stuff. These are, and I think that's part of the reason why I didn't just rush out and immediately grab all the metal coins I could, is because the cardboard is not bad in this. Not bad at all for the coins. But I did finally get the metal coins. And the reason why I'm kind of off center here is because I'm going to put pictures of stuff here. Of the metal coins, because it's like I got the coins and then I started taking pictures of them as one does. But I'm going to hold it up here because I don't feel like the pictures really give you an idea of how substantial the coin is. I can turn it on end here and you can see the metal coin here. It's pretty chunky too. I didn't actually compare the thickness of these to the thickness of the cardboard, but I think it might be a really close thing because the cardboard coins are pretty thick. This is the 500-pound note. It has got Victoria on one side and other stuff. Whoa, yeah, I'm dropping stuff already. And other stuff on the other side. Some of these have symbols that are symbols from the game, I think. Yeah, like the lion rampant and the fleur-de-lis. And that's the 500-pound note. And it also has these smaller coins, which are the small gray coins, also Queen Victoria. But again, you can see they're fairly wide. All of the coins are very, very hefty and substantial feeling. And we, of course, like once I got the coins, I'm going like, right, we need to get the game to the table now. So that we can play with the metal coins, run our fingers through the metal coins. One thing I've noticed about these is they stack pretty well. I mean, I don't think they're like particularly nested to stack or anything, but I noticed that when we played before all those games with the cardboard coins, you put the coins in the center of the board and they just kind of sprawled and went everywhere. But these, it's like I stack them up and we had them in like little stacks on the board. So the board actually looked neater with the metal coins. So anywho, that's the money. Now, we've been having some adventures in Middle-earth. Some of you may remember that we picked up the Fellowship of Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring, the trick-taking game for Christmas. And it was like, there was stuff in January, which is mentioned in another video. I won't get into it, but anyhow, we're playing it now. And it is a beautiful game, and it is very thoughtfully designed. But here's the thing. We're not big on trick-taking games. I like trick-taking games. I enjoy that process. I enjoy trying to figure the things out and make the things work. And I mean, that's a lot of the enjoyment of board games for me is it's not necessarily about winning the game, though I'm trying to win. But the thing with board games that makes them fun for me is if I enjoy doing the thing, whatever the thing is in the game, if I enjoy the process of the game, the flow of the game. And I enjoy that in general with trick-taking games. The dealio is, Robert, my primary board game partner, not so much. Also, since I think, you know, there's that what's your preferred player count question that floats around out there. And my preferred player count is 3 or 4 because there's a lot more games that you can play that play well at 3 or 4. But trick-taking games in particular, most of them don't play well at 2. There's a few that are made especially for 2. I love Fox in the Forest. Robert, not so much. As a matter of fact, he disliked it so much that I didn't keep the game. I just play it on the app if I want to play it. And I think it's also on Board Game Arena. I think I've gotten one playing on that. But this is a trick-taking game. And I mean, it's not like I didn't know that it was a trick-taking game when I got it. It's right there in the title. So I wasn't sure about this. I mean, it's like, I love the idea of it because I like this particular franchise, the Lord of the Rings books. I do tend to think more of the books than the movies, so I really love the movies. The books and I go back way before the movies. But as a trick-taking game, a lot of people have compared this to The Crew. I'm not going to compare it to The Crew because I haven't played The Crew because The Crew is a trick-taking game and I don't buy many of those. But so many people said so much stuff about this that I felt like I needed to give it a shot. And because it's co-op, I felt like that being a co-op game was going to give this, and yes, I know the crew is co-op too, but I felt like that the franchise had the appeal for both Robert and I felt like that being co-op, it was going to be manageable. Cut to the chase, it's not really manageable. If you are not good at trick-taking games, and Robert and I are not good at trick-taking games, he has a lot more trouble with them than I do, but still, it's not really our thing, and we don't play them very often, and two players tends to be awkward. In this game, you have a dummy player, which has a partially open hand. And there's good and bad about that. But I mean, and by good and bad, I mean, sometimes that helps and sometimes not so much. But we are enjoying playing it. But if trick-taking isn't really your thing, and you think because this can be played at 2 and because it's co-op that's going to make it all smooth, not so much. It's tough. I mean, if you are not good at trick-taking, I've read things about people that just buzz through this game. It's like 10 or 15 minutes for a hand, and they just go through all 18 chapters or whatever it is, and I'm going like, wow, that's amazing. One thing I do like about this is that you can't technically really lose this game. Because if a hand doesn't work out and everybody doesn't meet their goal, then you just play that hand over again and over again and over again until you manage to successfully meet the goals of all of the character cards that you're playing with, and then you move on to the next chapter. So, I mean, we have had to replay some chapters. But at one point, I said to Robert, this is like a master class in trick-taking because things change up so very much from round to round. And the feel of the game, I think, is going to be a little bit different depending upon player count too, because you have certain players you must play with, certain character cards that you must use for each round. If you're playing with 4 players, then you've usually got like one extra character in there that, you know, you can choose one of these other characters to do. But with he and I and the dummy character, a lot of times we're only going to be playing the characters that you have to play. Sometimes there's 2 characters that have to be used. Sometimes there's 3. So we're kind of locked in on a lot of things. But it changes from chapter to chapter. It changes sometimes quite a bit, and not just based upon the characters, but based upon new characters coming in and new setup situations for how you handle the deck, how you prepare the deck. So that's been really interesting. And so far, Robert is still hanging in with me. He still wants to play it. And I still want to play it. And we are through chapter 5 through chapter 6. Actually, we played this weekend, and I'm already blanking on what chapter we're on. We are up to, and the components for this is just so very, very lovely. I go through the player reference cards that I put on top. Chapter 7, we've done a half dozen chapters, which is not much in the grand scheme of things, but because I think there's 18 chapters to this, but we're still enjoying it, and it's interesting. But saying that it's like a master class in trick-taking, because it's like every possible thing that you can conceive of that you can manipulate trick-taking to do, I think we're going to hit all possibilities in this. But masterclass in trick-taking kind of implies that you could learn trick-taking and get better at trick-taking playing this. I feel like that if you don't have good trick-taking skills, you're going to struggle with this because we're struggling with it. But on the other hand, I do think that this is running through a lot of different stuff that you can do with trick-taking, a lot of variations on setup, a lot of limitations, a lot of if this, then this, and things. I mean, we had, chapter 3 gave us fits because there were limitations, severe limitations on how many tricks 2 of the 3 characters we were playing You know, if you've got one person at the table and they got to duck under tricks, that's actually not that difficult to do. But if you've got two of your three characters that need to be able to duck under tricks fairly reliably, then you can get into some trouble, particularly since there have been some games where we've had just really crazy card distribution where after the hand, we've like laid out the cards and we've discussed everything that happened in the game and we're looking at the cards and we're going like, I don't see any way that we could have played this. I mean, we could have made different choices, but the outcome would have still been the same because of the way the cards fell. Who got what character got what. And Frodo always has to be assigned to the character with the one ring. You know, I mean, other people can play other characters, but it's like whoever has the one ring, no matter what else they've got, it's got to be Frodo. So there's a lot of interesting stuff in here, and there's a lot going on. For people who are really, really good at trick taking, this is going to be possibly easy. I mean, that's the impression I get from reviews that I see in things. But for people who don't play trick taking games very often, it's going to take some time. It's going to be tough. But I do think that our trick-taking skills, by the end of this, assuming we make it all the way to the end, that by the end of it, we will be better at card management and trick-taking than we are now. There was a time right after we were in college where a couple of friends of ours moved into the area where we lived, not that far away, and we would get together on Sunday afternoons and play spades. They taught us spades. And we did that for, I don't know, maybe 6 months or so, and then they like moved away. But I don't think it was a full year, and it wasn't every Sunday afternoon, but that was our introduction to trick taking. And we enjoyed that, but again, it didn't click with Robert. He struggled with that a lot more than I did. But neither one of us ever played spades long enough to get really good at it. And I feel like that you need a certain level of skill to do this, maybe a higher level of skill than we have going into it. Because, I don't know, thinking about designing this game, they can't make a game for everyone. I mean, they can't make a game that's going to be really satisfying, easy to do kind of thing for people who don't play trick-taking games regularly, and at the same time come up with something that is going to be sufficiently challenging to people who are very experienced with trick-taking games. This is probably middle of the road because we find it difficult but not impossible. But for somebody who's super good at trick-taking, this might be too easy. For somebody who is not good at trick-taking at all, this is going to be kind of hard. So we are enjoying it, and I do think it's a really good design, a really clever design. And we're going to keep going. 6 chapters in, it's like we're going. We're doing the thing. But I do have other trick-taking games on my shelf, and you're going like, well, why would you get them? Why would you get these games if you're not good at them and you're not playing them? And no, we're not playing them. Well, the thing is, I do like trick-taking games, though Robert struggles more with them than I do. And the struggling with them, I do believe, is part of the reason why he doesn't like them as much as I do. It's because it's harder for him. And if it were harder for me, I probably wouldn't like them. But I got them because I feel like you need to have a couple of good trick-taking games on the shelf in case you're ever like with a game group or meet people who actually are good at trick-taking and like it. I still kind of dream of, once again, having some kind of a situation where we could sit around and play spades on a Sunday afternoon with friends or some other trick-taking game. I'd really like to play Rebel Princess. I've got it because from everything I've heard, it's a good game. It's based on hearts. I'd like to get Zombie Princess, which is the one that's based on spades. And I just think that one of these days I might be able to play trick-taking games with people who enjoy them and who are good at them, and maybe play them enough that I too will get good at them and Robert will get good at them. And then that will be a whole new genre of game that we can enjoy. But I'm not buying a lot of trick-taking games. And oh man, I saw The Two Towers, which is the sequel to this, at Barnes & Noble, and I wanted to get it so bad, but at that point, we hadn't even started this, and I actually thought it was going to be a lot easier than it has turned out to be, but that was based upon the people trick-taking is having a moment in the gaming community, and that my assessment that this was going to be something that was going to be super easy was based upon all of the gazillion people that have played thousands of trick-taking games. So, yeah. Maybe not so easy. And I'm now kind of on the fence about whether or not to get The Two Towers. It kind of depends upon really how much trouble we have getting all the way through the story of the Fellowship of the Ring. Besides that, what else have we been playing? Let me put this over here. And the money. We're still playing Moon Colony Bloodbath just about every weekend. And we're still enjoying it. We've only gotten through the event deck a couple of times, sad to say. But we are still enjoying it. We're getting better at it, I think. We're getting closer to the end of that event deck. But we've still had some games where we were just wiped out in record time. Because every now and then things just don't work out. Moon Colony Bloodbath. But I have quite a few unplayed games, and I will be doing something about our Shelf of Shame. I will be doing a video about that because we now have one again. But I pulled this off. This is actually a fairly recent purchase. Gizmos is not a new game. It is an older game. And a friend of mine introduced me to it on Board Game Arena, and I liked it. This is an engine builder, and it's got marbles, but I liked it a lot, but it went onto the wish list and then off the wish list and then back onto the wish list, and it kind of wavered there because I liked it enough that I wanted it because it's just really satisfying engine builder, but it's the marble thing. I mean, you have these little rings that hold the marbles that you get in there, and there is a marble dispenser. I'll put a picture right up here showing what it looks like on the table set up for our first game. But I don't know, the whole marble thing, it just struck me that if you got marbles, they're going to get loose. They're going to get away from you. They're going to get outside the ring, or you're going to drop one and it's going to roll off the table. But now we've got a game topper. And yes, it is still on the table after the weekend's games. This is Monday. That's why I got Gizmos. Why I went ahead and got Gizmos is because now that we've got a game topper, we've got something with an edge here. I feel a lot more confident playing a game that has pieces that roll. And we have other games that have pieces that unexpectedly roll. It's like if you're a game designer and there are pieces with rounded edges, they're going to get away from you. They're going to get away from everyone. But yeah, we did not lose any marbles playing this weekend. And when I said it is an engine builder, you are building gizmos. They're like little gizmo cards, and the cards have effects on them. And when you build cards, or you take one of 4 actions, and when you take an action or build a card or something like that, it will trigger effects on cards you have already built. Like all of these cards, if you fulfill the condition on the card, then it will just do that, and you can chain actions like crazy. If you like an engine building game where you are building stuff which builds on stuff which builds on stuff, which you can have turn after turn after turn, where you trigger this which triggers that, which triggers this, which triggers that, which triggers this other thing over here, and then you just keep going and doing all of this stuff and building up more. This is the game. I've never seen a game. Of course, admittedly, I'm not the most experienced board gamers. Amateur board gamer here. Not great, not brilliant. But so it's not like I've played thousands of board games, but I've never seen anything where the whole engine triggering event chaining thing just is as excessive as it is with this one. But it does kind of depend upon having the right strategy, getting the right cards, and being able to get the right marbles, because what you can build depends upon the color of marble that comes out of the chute. Picture up here of marbles coming out of the chute. Well, no, it's probably just going to be the overhead picture again. But anyhow, this is the second edition. I'm not sure what the whole marble dispensary thing looked like with the first edition. But with the second edition, you can see here, you've got a plastic base, and there is a little folded cardboard thing that you slot in around that. Excuse me. So you have a thing, you can't see the marbles there. There are times in the game where you're going to be picking the marbles out of the chute here, and times in the game where you're going to be blindly drawing from the top. So, and those are all things. See, second edition now with plastic dispenser. I have no idea what the dispenser looked like before. This is on Board Game Arena if you want to give it a try, if you're on Board Game Arena. And I would definitely recommend it. It is a lot of fun. Even if you're playing on Board Game Arena and the marbles are all virtual imaginary marbles, shall we say. I would not say, despite the fact that it's just got, you're putting down cards, taking one of 4 actions, and then doing a thing and picking marbles and stuff, I wouldn't call this Gateway. I mean, it kind of has that look of something really light family fun kind of thing. I would probably put it more in the Gateway Plus category because it's not difficult to learn or play. Definitely not. But I do think that if you presented this game to someone who was not familiar with modern board games, that the iconography would probably overwhelm them. I'm thinking of certain friends of mine. I don't think I could have used this as an introductory game because all of the different icons that show what you can do and what the effects are and all this other kind of stuff. And they do have a good cheat sheet for that when you're getting up to speed. But I do think that just dropping this on somebody who wasn't familiar with modern board games and didn't have a lot of experience with modern board games and the kind of iconography that you get, I think it might be a little daunting. But having said that, I do think that this is a good lighter game. It feels light. It feels fast. It's got very, very quick setup too. That's another thing I like about it. Easy to learn, fast setup. It could hit the table on a fairly regular basis. And at 2 players, it plays pretty fast too. I mean, you're only doing 1 action on each of your turn, although sometimes the turns go on a while because you do an action which triggers an action, which triggers an effect, which triggers a thing. And so you're going to do this thing and then do this thing and then do that thing. And as the game goes on, your turns get longer. The early turns, you're not able to do very much. But as you start building out cards, yeah. And it's a lot of fun. There's something very satisfying about that whole building an engine and watching it run. But we like this a lot. And that is one more game that is off of our unplayed game shelf. And I will talk a little bit more about the unplayed game shelf and some of the things on it in another video. I am not sure when. I need to make more videos, but I really wanted to talk about Fellowship of the Ring, and I wanted to get another chapter under our belt. At present speed, we are playing 1 chapter per weekend. Yeah, but I mean, we're playing other things. It's not like 1 chapter, that's our whole game for the weekend. No, we're playing lots of other stuff during the weekend. See, stacks of games. No, you can't see. Stacks of games on the other end of the table. But it has been good talking to you, sitting around the table here. and chatting about games. We've been having just an inordinate amount of fun, and I hope you have too. And I will see y'all next time round the table. Bye.